Let's go, man. 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna just make noises until. Well, if all we do is make race car noises for the first couple of minutes, then there's no chance of us getting demonetized for what takes place in the first couple of minutes.
Yo, come on, Lush. Like, you're actually like white.
Yeah.
We've been knowing that.
Yeah.
No. Like, you are like a white boy. I wasn't expecting for Lush one, like the Long Beach goon. No, sorry, the what? No, like, right? Like
West
Long Beach,
LA?
right?
West LA?
Yeah, right. Like to be like, you know.
Well, okay, but I had this conversation with, I forget, maybe Brick and them the other day, but I said, to you guys, I'm a square.
Yes.
To like the vast majority of situations that I'm in socially with the kids and the, you know, going to the school stuff and all that kind of stuff, I'm a brick baby. I'm like way out there. I'm you know, I'm like the craziest looking / talking / like, and obviously I'm like holding in a ton of my craziness stuff, but like all these like parents and stuff look at me like I'm the patron saint of degeneracy.
Well, based on face tats
they don't
alone,
even know.
Based on face tats alone, that's gonna like categorize you in their eyes differently.
But I actually felt like it was important for them to understand that, because they actually seemed like they were kind of surprised. They're like, oh yeah, like you are our corny white friend, but if you put Adam in a room with like 1,000 other white people,
you're Big U essentially.
Yeah, I'm like, probably like the top 5 sketchiest white dudes in that environment, right?
Because Lena is like the nicest, most wholesome person ever.
Very much so.
And
when she's not sucking a giant black dick,
no. When you like talk to Lena, like she's like the nicest, like
you would never think.
No.
Yeah, you would never, if you had just ran into her at the grocery store.
Yeah, she's like nice, she's like calm, she's like the opposite of you, man.
Can you like restart it, because I had to hide the sig because for snap. Or are you just taking pictures?
Yeah, I got pictures.
Sorry.
But what I want to know is this: why is me making a race car noises indicative of my transracial ambiguity?
You ever been to a NASCAR race?
No.
I went to one.
NASCAR is fire.
I heard a guy say the N-word within like 20 minutes.
Oh, like a white guy?
Yeah, he like tried to like confide in me. He said something about like, oh yeah, it's a great place to come because it's not in the hard R's. I'm like,
dude, isn't the top?
Here I am.
Isn't the top NASCAR driver a black dude right now?
I don't know. Is that
wait, and I called you like the hard ER like within like 5 seconds.
You did.
I see you today. So
So not only am I the hard ER, but I'm white.
Yeah,
Hardy har.
That's what I was thinking too. That's the joke that was going through my head.
Hardy R is crazy.
Hey, I would like to make this statement. We've been talking about doing 2 No Jumper shows a week for a while now. Mm-hmm. It took a lot of moving around this week to like manage to squeeze this in, because I got like 4 other podcasts I'm doing throughout the course of the day. Yeah. So people are gonna for sure throw the narrative on of like, oh, you guys just hopped on stream to respond to this and that. Yeah. It's not true. You can attest.
Yes.
We've been talking about this for a couple weeks. We're supposed to do it last week.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's that much stuff for me to really respond to. Not that much stuff that I really feel the need to comment on. Yeah. But there are some things that will certainly get covered throughout the course of this podcast. Okay. But I think like our vision in terms of, you know, now we don't have No Jumper News. I feel like we're trying to approach No Jumper in a little bit more of like a controlled environment where we have a little bit better of a script or a plan every time we get on camera. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, that's kind of like something Flakko's been working on for like the past week, is like putting together a really nice list of clips for us to check out, review to, talk about, etc. Yeah. So please respect Flakko's contribution and don't
producerial input.
Don't try to chalk this up to being some sort of op stream.
No, this has been in the works for a while, first of all, and in light of recent potential topics, they weren't even at it until yesterday. You know what I mean?
We had no idea that was going to happen.
We had no idea that was going to happen. There was already a full-on script and another narrative that I think we might want to nip on the bud, especially in light of the title of our last episode and the thumbnail, which, if you didn't click on, was
the trial of Brick Baby.
The trial of Brick Baby, which people seem to enjoy quite a bit. However, now there's this narrative because they saw it's me, you, and Flakko that Brick Baby is fired from No Jumper.
No.
Clarify, let them know, man. Come on.
That's the problem with Brick Baby, is that I love the guy so much that it doesn't matter what anybody says. It would take such a Herculean effort in order for me to not F with the brick. Like, I just love the guy. I've known him for a long time. Us doing podcasts together, you know, like even like because you got to give it to Lush. He really kind of lined it up perfectly on that podcast.
You have to admit, but that was, listen,
That
they
was
say he's
masterful.
slow. He's not slow. Right?
No.
Right? No, people say like, yo, he's slow, but no, that was like a real chess piece, methodical setup, bro. That was brilliant.
Yeah, but you know what it kind of reminded me of? Like the whole thing, the way it played out is let's say there's a dude in a friend zone with a bitch, right? And the bitch has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And the dude goes like, look, I have evidence that he's fucking some other bitch. Check this out. And the bitch is like, haha, I don't care. That's still my man. Like, and that's essentially how that played out.
No.
Because you're like, go ahead, Brick. Finesse as many hairdressers as you want.
As many wig infomercials as you want. It's all good.
You still permanent no jumper. Ain't nothing loose gonna say that's gonna change that dynamic.
Nah, that's real. Like he just like, I fuck with Brick so hard that like, even though realistically Lush did kind of set it up in such a way that like it would have been very logical for me to be like, I can't fuck with Brick Baby anymore.
Yeah.
I just like the guy too much. You know, we got some history. He's always been solid with me. And at the same time, like when people come on to No Jumper, we're not exactly giving them a 100% foolproof guidebook for how you're going to maneuver through this. So when he says like, yeah, I didn't know that was going to be a big deal. I thought that was kind of normal, whatever. I take his word for it.
Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Right. And so, okay, let's just jump right into it. So a lot of people think that the 22ster should logically be deeply upset about the stream that happened yesterday. I'm going to let you know. When I saw the flyer and I saw that it was coming up, I was overjoyed. It's like the best thing that could possibly happen. Talk. Just keep talking. The more you talk, the more convinced I am that you don't have appropriate legal counsel, because the number one thing that they're going to tell you is stop talking. Let's also throw this out there. You are still technically an employee of No Jumper. You're just on like temporary leave due to the fact that you stopped showing up.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you've signed an NDA. So you're coming out and you're lying about an assault that allegedly happened at No Jumper, and you are lying because you do not have any evidence. And that was abundantly clear to me when I saw some clips from that stream. If he did have a photo of a wound, don't you think that he would have been trotting it out and showing the guys the same way that he was showing them the conversations?
Right.
Don't you think that if there was really a wound that it already would have been posted on Instagram? So yeah, you're under NDA, and the problem with the NDA is that a lot of times if you want to sue somebody for violating the NDA, then you're forced to basically like you're kind of fucked, because you have to be able to demonstrate that they did significant damage to your business or you. The thing is that I can't think of anything that would be more damaging to the reputation of my business than lying about an assault that took place at this business. And I can't think of anything dumber than being an active employee who's on temporary leave and going on a podcast and being so stupid that you got manipulated by handicapped/obese people to air out all the details. They obviously don't have your best interest in mind. They were laughing in your face from the clips that I saw throughout the whole thing. They were clowning you jabroni. So not only have you gotten yourself into a position where you're significantly weakened from a legal standpoint, but you now also might have to lawyer up and fight the potential charges that could be coming down, or the potential lawsuit that could be coming from violating your NDA. Now, a lot of people have thrown it out there. A lawyer might be willing to take his case pro bono, and just, you know, because they might be so confident in it.
It's a lot of man hours, though.
Are those same lawyers gonna pro bono represent you when you're being sued by your past or current, I guess, employer because you broke your NDA? I don't think so. I don't see anybody lining up for that. If you ask me, I could immediately destroy whatever kind of financial situation you have going on by forcing you to put down a retainer for a lawyer. And I don't know that I'm necessarily going to do that, but I've been talking to my lawyers all day about what we are planning. And so I don't want to like let anything out of the bag too crazy, but trust me, what happened yesterday on stream was 100% good for me. Realistically, kind of good for the Figmunity guys.
Because they got numbers from it.
Exactly. And all bad for him. You dumb fuck. What the fuck were you thinking?
Yo,
now, and on top of that, You said that it helped them numbers wise.
Yeah,
Let's just talk about where they're at versus where we're at. They did the same numbers with him airing out what could possibly be the most dramatic, most insane storyline in the history of No Jumper. They got the same numbers that we got by me, you, Brick Baby, and Sharp sitting around kicking it, smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And that really is telling about where we're at and where they're at. Do you remember when I started calling them reaction channels?
Right.
And it seemed very hyperbolic. It was like, obviously I was kind of taking the piss. I was giving them a hard time, etc. Never did I ever imagine that we would arrive at a time like this in which they really are one-trick ponies and only have one thing to fall back on, which is interviewing our former employees. I don't know what they're going to do when that kind of runs out, because it already feels like, holy shit, you only got like 9K off of like the most dramatic storyline that you could possibly imagine. Also false storyline that you could ever imagine in the history of No Jumper. You got 9K. We had 9K from listening to Sharp talk about God knows what, from talking about why Almighty doesn't like him. From me and Lush, or from me and Brick having a not even confrontational conversation about him selling promo on the channel, whatever. Like,
yeah,
this is like the two sides. Yeah. We look so good and they look so bad. But granted, they did get a stream that didn't have like 4,000 live viewers like the way that they typically would.
No,
they got a little boost.
It was a good look for them for sure.
But as far as him, bro, I still care about you in some weird way. Why the fuck would you let them do that to you? What the fuck are you thinking?
Well, the something that stuck out to me is the now cliched phrase selective politicking. How when
what you?
Well, the whole when the Alki David lawsuit that homegirl had against him came to light, that I spoke up on her behalf, and they said that's borderline ratting. You know what I mean? But this, even though there is no criminal case, nobody was indicted.
Wait. Lush, nah, bruh. Because he's a civilian, you's a gay member. So like, right? So like, he can snitch. You can't snitch.
But that's
interesting you say that, because I'm hearing word that certain members of the Fig Community crew are being summoned to their hood for DPs as a result of the telling that they did on the podcast the other day. As far as I'm concerned, certain members of that podcast are now on the level of a 6ix9ine, of a King Yella, of an Amari Blaze, etc. I'm not going to get into exactly who will be DP'd in the next couple of days, but trust me, the indictments are coming. The DPs are coming.
And this isn't just because you did plug talk and there might have been DPs involved.
I just fucked a bit, but yeah, I washed my hands off. Well, actually, I didn't wash my mouth out and I was eating her out, so it's kind of freaky.
Clean that microphone.
But and again, like when it comes to the whole idea of a person being shot in this office, I'm still saying, show me some evidence. Show me anything.
So right. Because though he did say, which I was kind of like shocked, right? Because I have love for Dejan. So when I seen him
do too.
I think T-Raw asked him, okay, so like you seen a gun, right? He was clean, and he said no. I just heard.
In that moment, I was just like, bro, is it Christmas? Is it Christmas? You just said that you never even saw it. So what the fuck are you even talking about? There's no wound. You never saw a gun. There's no police report. There's no workers' comp. There's nothing. The hospital wasn't able to find anything. What the fuck are we talking about? You would have to be the worst lawyer, the dumbest fucking lawyer in the history of man to accept this case.
I was shocked when I heard him say I didn't see the gun.
Because I'm like, why would you even admit that?
He could have said I can't speak on that. There's so many things he could have said, but
and that's why I'm thankful, because T-Raw and them are actually working on my behalf.
In that instance, they definitely
Yesterday, they did me a massive favor, and this is the other thing I would like to say. Obviously, like T-Raw's basically like plotting and planning on me having to deal with a lawsuit. Let us not forget, he got sued. He's $2 million in debt. A lawsuit is the reason why he can't have a Toyota Corolla under his name and everything has to go through his girl. In addition to that, he has multiple other lawsuits pending right now from the owner of the building where he did not pay rent prior to them leaving. So again, you get sued, it ruins your life. I get sued, I keep on trucking. I got sued plenty of fucking times. I've had to settle plenty of fucking times. I've been through all this shit. Never been to trial. I'm down to go to trial on this one, but
take it to trial.
It's like he wants so badly for me to be struck down and to have my business destroyed in the way that his business has been destroyed. His audience has been cut down by 70% over the course of the past couple of days. Yesterday, I was playing poker. I looked down at my stack at the table, and it just occurred to me, this is T-Rel's net worth. I'm playing poker against a bunch of fucking Persian guys and OnlyFans models, and I got T-Rel's net worth sitting in front of me on the table. Guess what? I got a little Gucci fanny pack slung over my shoulder.
Yeah.
In it, I have Leather's net worth. These motherfuckers are broke. They want me to be broke like them. The 22ster ain't going. AD is also being sued by the club where he caused a fight in San Diego. And we're going to be getting the owner of that club on the podcast in the very, very near future. We've been in communication with them, and we're going to be finding out exactly what went on that night, as well as we're going to be doing a live in-person interview with the landlord from Melrose who owns the building that they were kicked out of. They are squatters. Leather, Z-Rel, you are squatters.
Oh, it's getting spicy.
Oh, it's getting real spicy. You ain't got nothing on me, you pieces of shit. And guess what? Hey, Tubbs, picture you getting a job in the future. What do you think that employers in the music industry think of people who basically are lawsuit trolls? Which, by the way, I haven't even been hit with a lawsuit yet, so I don't even know if that's coming. But what do you think? You got me, you got Whack 100, you got all these people now who are gladly hitting the streets and spreading the word. This guy got a job at No Jumper for the sole purpose of filing a lawsuit. Guess what? You're not even going to get a job at Could Have Been Records after this. It ain't happening.
Well,
nobody will ever fuck with you again, just like they didn't fuck with you before No Jumper. Who was the only media company on the West Coast or anywhere that gave him a shot?
You, right?
It's me. I'm the only dummy. I gave him a shot. That's my fault. I got too big of a heart. I love too hard. And I don't know. I feel bad because realistically, he torched any possibility of him ever getting a job in the music industry in order to just try to get away with a quick payday. Well, and right there, you see why we need better schools, because motherfuckers are retarded.
LAUSC been fucked up, but I will say that for all the lawyers or law adjacent people in the chat, I believe the term is libel, Libel.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, and that's when libel, yeah,
libel,
rasa. But
rasa.
When you're in the midst of a proceeding or a potential proceeding, speaking publicly about said
foolish.
details, I believe is defined as libel and is very, very bad. Now, there's one other element we haven't discussed about
sexual harassment, right?
Yeah, the whole sexual harassment thing.
Yeah. Oh my God! And shout out to We Starve, and he's been really compiling a whole lot of clips. When you actually see these clips in context, and you see the way that he was a willing participant in this joshing around environment, and how much it was so obvious that it was not like he was a victim in this. He was just having fun with the guys, and he was, if anything, really enjoying the reindeer games. I mean, come on, bring it on. Let's fucking go. Let's all make our lawyers rich, and let's fucking do battle. You know, I don't buy Gucci. I don't got a fancy car. I got one crib. I don't got 10 cribs. Guess why? Because I've been stockpiling money to go to war with a fucking idiot like you who thinks you're going to get one over on the 22ster. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I don't roll over. I go to war.
Yeah, man.
And you need money to go to war. I said it before, and I'll say it again.
Gucci Mane said it best. Take money to go to war. You feel me?
Wait, though. If he's still hired, is there a point where you fire him then, or no?
I was speaking to my lawyers about the exact situation with that. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to play out. But, I mean, yesterday when I was watching that, I felt like I was watching an infomercial for somebody who was trying to find a lawyer who was willing to, like, take a case on, because it's just like, if you already had a lawyer, he probably would have advised you to not do the exact thing that you're doing. Again, I just want to reiterate.
H. Parker, where you at?
I just want to reiterate. Playing poker last night, T-Rel's net worth in front of me. That's how much this is nothing to me. You guys are broke. I'm not. I'll go to war.
Imagine though, right? Now, I know this would never happen because like Mo actually likes you, But imagine if Lawyers for Workers Mo right now is watching this like, okay, some clout. You feel me?
That's a great idea.
You don't need that.
I like to go to war with Mo as well. Fuck him.
Mo don't need that clout.
No.
Yeah.
Mo's cool. I mean, I don't give a fuck about all this shit. I was having a great time yesterday. I wasn't thinking about this shit. What the fuck do I care? It's nothing to me.
And I genuinely don't believe that anybody had any animosity towards Dijon for his sexuality.
Listen, if you could sue somebody for joking around about sex with you on a podcast, guess what?
I'd be rich.
Every podcast in the history of mankind would have already dealt with lawsuits about this. These kind of cases are very difficult to bring. It's very hard to prove, and you need somebody with deep, deep pockets to want to bankroll it. I don't think you got it. So again, I'm calling your bluff. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. You didn't get shot. You didn't get sexually harassed. Whatever you want to do, I'm here for it. You did violate your NDA though, so whatever. Damn, that's really like the main thing I got to say about that.
Hypothetically, let's say like you did some adult work with a woman, right? And then afterwards you spoke about it and you said her pussy was nasty, her pussy stank, da 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 da. Is that make you liable for some type of...
I would not do that because I do believe that is against the code, the porn man's code.
That's against the ethics.
I wouldn't do that just from the pure ethics of the situation. I've shot with girls where I felt like their vagina smelled so bad that it was essentially like a chemical weapon. I felt like I was in Syria, but I never aired them out because I think it's wrong, you know? So same reason I would expect those girls to not air me out if I couldn't get a boner, you know?
Shorty had that Chernobyl grade pepper spray between her legs.
Literally, Lush Noble.
Nah, that's wild. No, there was like one chick though where we was doing like the OnlyFans shit, or the Patreon shit that we don't do no more, right?
When we just interview, different girls.
There was like one chick, bro. Her vagina was, it's
Wait,
not bad.
during the Patreon, you could smell her vagina?
No, like when she like took off her clothes and was dancing around.
Oh, it looked weird.
No,
Or you smelled it?
Yeah, like we all said that it stunk.
Were you there when Buddy got his butt fingered?
Who? No.
I forget. I think about that all the time.
Buddy Buttfinger.
Oh wait. Wait. Is that Danny Molin's friend, right?
Yeah, his filmer. I forget his name.
Those are actually before I got to know Jump.
He disappeared. King Croc.
No, not
King
Leo.
Croc fucked Kazumi.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you want to call it fucked.
Nah, he fucked her, man. Like,
Bro,
He inserted it, but I don't think he like really got too much work
dick
done.
hard, fool.
Yeah.
She was doing all kinds of tricks. She was doing Chun-Li fucking spinning star kicks. But
if you had a borderline homosexual in Danny Molin, like doing this, like next to you, like
for
as you
sure.
fuck a bitch, like you would like, come on.
No,
bro, like,
for sure. What Danny was doing would make it more difficult to be aroused. But it's like, man, you got that ass in front of you. You might be able to drown that shit out.
Yeah, Zerka was telling me Kazumi's not hot yesterday.
No, like listen, here, like if she looks great,
Is
but
that
I
also
feel like
red pill like high? She's not a high.
Yeah,
value
no girl's
woman,
hot.
like,
I felt like it was that kind of thing. No girl can be hot.
She has a pussy. She's trash.
Yeah, she got big tits. She's
here,
not
right?
hot.
Like she's cool, but I feel like some of her porn is mid because I'm not sure if it was like the most recent round of the like BBL, right? But she like don't know how to like arch her back no more, right? No,
I don't know.
No, right? No, hey.
I mean, like I haven't watched recent because
Like she has a fat ass, but
that would be a fair critique.
Yeah.
Because Arch is definitely
right. Like she's great. You feel me? Right? Like the old Kazumi, like could like arch pretty well.
2022 Kazumi was on fire.
Yeah, like now, like she's not really like like in arch as much no more.
I'm not into like 100-person gangbangs and all that per se as far as like my struck material, but she Kazumi, she one of them. Yeah. She one of them ones. She a factor.
But she's hot. I don't care what.
But
and she bad. Duh. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Speaking of old employees,
I like pussy though, so I can't say
Speaking of old or current employees, let's go to topic one, man.
Okay, and I will say, we have spoke about this. I don't want to like give it that much light.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like we kind of talked about it enough on Tuesday, and I don't want to keep dragging it, even though it is kind of an op at this point.
It's not even that part though. It's the second part that I feel like we haven't really like talked about yet though.
Okay, but can I just tell you something real quick? This is mind blowing. I'm at the poker game yesterday, right? And there's a fucking guy there who works in the poker industry and stuff, and he's done a few things for me. I've been around him a few times over the years, right? And he starts telling me, he's like, you know, I was kicking it with Yuri. Like, we were real good friends for a while, right? I'm like, yeah. Oh, okay. What happened? He basically said that, like, Yuri and them stopped fucking with Kiki, right?
Yeah.
This guy was still cool with Kiki. He posts a photo with Kiki.
Okay.
Insta unfollow from Yuri and Riley.
What?
And wouldn't respond to him afterwards because this dude was just cool with Kiki.
Who is this guy?
I don't want to like reveal his identity.
Friend group of Kiki, Yuri, and Riley is
very
an odd one.
Yeah.
No, and I agree that it's very odd.
I don't see where the overlap would be if it wasn't no jumper related.
You would assume that you know every single person that's ever been friends with them, right? Because we're all just like on the Reddit all fucking day and we all see all this crap. This dude told me that. Oh my God, I almost fell out of my fucking chair. I was laughing so hard.
That's odd mutual friends to have if you're not no jumper related.
Right, I know. I was shocked too. But it's been years. It's been years. And this guy, like, that's how I really felt about it. He kind of still felt like it hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he really felt like he was a friend with the dude. And I was like, bro, trust me, he's so insecure that like almost anything could get you like rejected out of his fucking social life.
Well, look, I think due to the formation of our new organization for victims of stalking, you're under recent investigation, Yuri.
Nah,
why
man.
you are I and why? I think it's only fair that we do at least delve into the recent developments.
So you've been thinking about that, about exactly how to make that acronym work?
No, I just wanted to add the extra layer. I felt like adding, like, because it didn't have the Y before. And, you know, we've been doing a lot of
course,
building with our new headquarters.
Listen, too, bro, I was highly offended, right? Because I like to think that me and him are cool, right? We never really, you know, have beef, right? As he goes like on to say, oh, nobody in up there can buy a house. I said, nigga, like you don't think that we have like 30, 40 grand for like a fucking deposit?
And where is he getting money from? He's getting like $1 a day in donations. What the fuck are you talking about? You're the rich guy now? Okay.
Having the audacity to say that nobody over here is interesting or has talent, which is a phrase that has uttered his mouth for months on end. When he wants to play the victim and be like, why are these mean guys teasing me for being trans?
Right.
No, it's because you've been antagonizing motherfuckers.
For being trans.
Isn't he trans?
No, but I agree. And the whole thing about it too, fuck, why did I forget? I was about to say something.
About how like none of us can purchase houses?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, okay, probably the worst. Like even the news when it was at its lowest, was probably like 2,000 people watching it, right?
Of course, yeah.
You know, maybe like 5,000-6,000 was like a real good day or whatever. The No Jumper show probably averaged like 5-6K, whatever. He's on stream every day with like 100 people watching.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? You think we're fucking blind and retarded that we're going to actually believe this? I mean, you are a stalker, so I guess you've kind of lost sight of reality and everything like that. But like, and also let's talk about the podcast that they started together. Remember when they were acting like that was going to be some big breadwinner?
Yeah. Are you referring to?
He owes Blasey money for the taxes on the LLC.
Really?
They're in the red for the year on that podcast. I hate saying that because Blasey probably don't want me to say it, but bro.
Really?
Be serious. The reason why you can't buy a house is because you owe Blasey all this fucking money and you own weed.
The weed thing is crazy.
How much you owe Blasey? Like what, $1,000?
I don't know exactly, but
what I want to know is, with the exception of my friend Andy Milanakis, who's actually a really good dude who had motion before and after, is there any IRL streamer who is not a complete piece of shit? Or does that literally not bring out the worst in every single person that embarks on that?
And I had been saying that exact thing for years,
They're
and
all
it's never
pieces
been
of
more
shit.
obvious than in this case.
Ice Poseidon.
No, perfect example.
He's the biggest garbage movie ever.
I mean, I fuck with Ice, but like, Ice did some fucked up shit I see Ice as like a victim.
Though.
I see him as a victim.
Nah, bro.
He was getting dragged by his community worse than I ever seen anybody dragged.
But they put themselves in that position. That's like part of the reoccurring cycle of being an IRL streamer. Like, look at recent examples. Look at the dude that was the Johnny Somali dude was going to Japan, starting hella shit.
No, hey, guess what though? So he's about to be like an Adam apprentice because he's been clamoring, yo, I want to do porn as soon as I get back to the States. So right now, is he still like in Israel doing some bullshit there, right?
Really?
But though, and he says, yo, listen, like tell Adam, bro, like, I want to do porn. I'm trying to do at least one scene on and on like Plug Talk, and he claims that he wants to do it with an Asian girl or Kazumi.
Put it on the table. He's on my fast tracked list, right behind P Nice. I don't know. It's going to be tough to get.
Really, Somali's up on the list like that? You think that?
I don't know, but I've never seen the meat. Yeah. The difference between him and P Nice is I haven't seen the meat. But
fair enough.
You know, P Nice is like my number one draft pick for the porn industry this year. But maybe Johnny Somali could be next up in the list.
But regardless, deplorable human being. I mean, like
who, Johnny?
Yeah, absolutely deplorable human being.
Then he should definitely do porn.
might fit in.
I've been told on Twitter every day for the past year that I'm a piece of shit because I do porn. So Johnny, we would welcome you into our cult.
Most of the people I've met in the adult industry seem pretty chill, to be honest with you, and like better human beings than this guy. And then what about the white girl the other day that had the
Natalie,
chick, jump in the water and didn't know how to swim?
Oh my God.
Like that was sociopathic behavior.
She's like the satanic version of Tommy Loren.
Literally, like she's like the Bobby Althoff with fucking malignant narcissism.
I keep seeing clips of that girl, and she just seems like she's
horrible.
She's just going viral over and over for being the worst person ever. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
It'll be a W if you jump in the water. I'm jumping in right after you. It'll be a W. Like, are you? This is like indicative of the dredges of society, IRL streamers. So I really don't think that the version of Yuri that we've seen is because the Yuri that I knew working here and my experience.
That's what I'm saying. He was so cool.
He was the chillest dude ever, bro.
Yeah, I think you can't blame it on the girl. The girl's chill.
No, she's cool as fuck
but
too.
Like, I think you could blame it on just streaming.
But the
it stole his joy.
So we'll see if so now he's claiming he stole his joy.
No, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, bro. If you're on live stream and you have like we all think that we have like thick skin, cool, but to make this, like, for example, bro, I have to hop on live stream for 30 days straight and hear people for 24 hours tell me how much of a garbage human being I am. It's gonna fuck with you, bro. Like, it's gonna break you.
His community, he's believing the chat.
Yeah,
that's why it blocks them.
When you get more negative reinforcement
for
than
24
positive,
hours a day for 30 days straight.
Yeah, no, it's definitely maddening. Even, you know, like we've all gone through it in different levels. But what I want to know is there validity to the claim that he's moving up north?
Yes,
with
so play the clip.
Stalk.
Yes.
No, to stalk, I don't think so. But he's probably about to get a job somewhere, right?
I mean, it's been impossible, or it's been very difficult for me to understand how you could live off of that income. Maybe there's some shit that I don't know about, but yeah, it seems like Subway might be calling. Okay, so let's. I think we could skip over the clip of what's his name talking about moving up north and everything like that. What's next on the list?
Hair.
Oh, yes, Danny from the Stop.
Man, so if you guys haven't been like following this, right?
Yeah.
So Danny from the Stop, like, you know him, man, right? Like, and he's our guy. He's been covering Joe Budden. And listen, I'll be real. I feel like Danny has given Joe Budden's podcast some life, right?
I wouldn't even know what the fuck was going on there if it wasn't for his content.
Yeah, right.
He's like their clips channel, essentially.
Yes, and like Danny like keeps us informed, and I feel like Danny, like. And he's kind of like the angel version of the weirdos and who does content and on us, right? Like, and all like the dudes, like they do like these weird narratives. He sort of like covers like the content, right? Kind of like, you know, cut and dry, right? So for some reason though, Joe have just sort of like waged war on Danny. Like he gave Danny like a strike, leaked his picture when he wasn't like, you know, right? And
he's on a campaign against him, which if you ask me is pretty wild because that's definitely somebody that you want to be on good terms with, especially given the fact that from my perspective, that's somebody who respects Joe and has some criticisms of various people on the show. But it has always felt like he very much avoids doing anything that would really get him into like a truly bad place with Joe, but it feels like Joe is bringing so much negativity towards him that he's kind of gone the other way. He has like in recent times kind of like resisted and refused to comment on some accusations that have been made by past lovers with Joe, right?
Yes.
It seems like the gloves are off because he says some stuff, Danny from the Stop, in his new video in which it becomes clear like, this man might turn your ass into content.
Yeah, right. No, and I can kind of like see Danny's like frustration, right? So Danny is essentially, so the Joe Budden like community of content creators are kind of like his like kids, right? And you have, let's say, Danny and Chicks Moves, right? Now, Joe is doing something very like strategic, right? So Joe sort of like have pitted Danny and Chicks against each other. So like Danny is kind of like redheaded like stepchild. Chigs is like his favorite child, right? And Joe does this because Joe knows, okay, if I put y'all against each other and like I kind of like reward y'all with my attention, then guess what? Like, you know that you can't do bad videos on me, because if you do, well, then I'm like, for me, fuck with him more than you, right? So Danny and Chigs had this big blowout in like a Twitter space that Joe Budden like did, right? So then after that though, Joe Budden is like shouting out Chigs and shit, and then talking shit about Danny and not saying like his name. So Danny decided, fuck it, the gloves is off now. I'm gonna be a real hater now, and he dropped what I consider the euphoria of the podcast world, right? And so, Link.
You want me to play it?
Yeah, like just play it, you know, like
fuck it, yeah.
Yeah, right.
We love Danny from the start. A great man.
Yeah, 3 minutes of it.
Calls him a beta male. That's right. On a recent episode of his Mid-Patreon, Joe Budden decided to take aim at the community that I've established on Twitter. So now it's only right that I fire back. Well, during the conversation, Joe Budden would say that the spaces he was on, there's a bunch of beta males, they lack conviction, they don't know how to make decisions. Now, I find it funny because when he does spaces, he engages in some of the stupidest conversations. For example, something about Robin and stuff.
Sometimes, as I'm exiting, because I was landing somewhere, I was landing home. If I'm exiting and the little stewardess girl is nice, I'll say, hey, can you give me a can of apple juice? But sometimes that holds up the line. So you just walk in the store and get you some apple juice. I like apple juice in the airport. But if I get a chance to steal it, I'm going to steal it.
I don't understand why this guy thinks he is the sole creator of what a Twitter space can be. And I also have to note that I heard Corey laughing in the background. And Corey, you want to know what's beta? Getting fired by your mans and then coming back and acting like nothing happened.
I don't even know who
Seems
this guy
real
is.
beta to me.
Joe Frank.
And I also have to reiterate that I had that Joe Budden podcast under pressure. I had Ice whining about how I no longer bother him.
That's why his videos don't bother me now. Like, I know, he knows I don't rock with him. He jumped in one of my caffeine joints, said his name. This Danny from the stop. I said, so, all right, and then he left. Like, I don't rock with you. I don't respect it. Get your money, however you do, whatever you got to do. You report on everything on us. You want to create narratives. You want to do all of that. That's fine. But I'm not helping you at all.
I had Joe talking about how I've emasculated Ice, and to be honest, the Joe Budden Patreon has been trash. I mean, the other day, Joe Budden confronted me, and he was like, you don't really listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to go watch the full thing, because regardless of how you feel about Joe or whatever,
this was a masterclass.
You're starting to see what happens if you have a big fan and you basically ostracize them and push them into a place where it makes more sense for them to become a hater. From my perspective, if Danny from the Stop was just like a full-time No Jumper reaction channel, and granted, like, he lives like 10 minutes, 20 minutes away from where they fucking filmed the Joe Budden podcast.
Oh, wow.
Bring him through.
He's a New Yorker, you know?
Bring him through.
A school shooter.
So it's like, why wouldn't, like, I just don't understand why they wouldn't embrace him, because from my perspective, Danny is like probably better on camera than
who?
Then, I mean, not as good as Joe, and like obviously Queen's Flip brings something to the table, but there's like quite a few people on that podcast that I feel like he's just as good or better than.
No, he's
Flip
better.
is fire. Flip is fire.
That's cool. Flip brings value.
No, listen, I love Flip and feel like Flip is like entertaining, right? But like, for example, when when Joe did like the Candace Owens or in Umar Johnson, right? Like, you could see like there was a clear limitation here for Flip, right? So I feel like in terms of like who could, like, for example, right? So Danny is better than Flip. He's better than Ice.
As far as diversity goes and just ability to conversate.
Right? And like, he's better than Melissa Ford, right? But though, the actual question is who do you feel like this hurts more? Meaning, do you feel like Danny saying, bro, I'm done covering this Joe Budden shit is going to hurt him more, or it's going to hurt Joe Budden more?
But he really said that he's done covering him?
Yeah.
Entirely. Because I have noticed that he's been dropping a lot more videos about other things in the culture.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's interesting.
Right?
Well, isn't the majority of his views and his bread and butter essentially the reactions to the Joe content?
Oh, probably 95% of his content has been about that up till now, yeah.
I think we got to see, like, where does he go from here? Is it going to be effective if he migrates somewhere?
No, sure, but though, if you just had to guess, So who do you think that is going to hurt more, Joe or Danny?
I'll be honest with you. I feel like, as of now, I feel like this hurts Danny to a degree because ultimately, Joe. We've seen what happens when people leave the Joe Budden umbrella. And at first, they might get a little bit of traction. They might carry, some of the momentum of the fans that were dissenting opinions and voices. But overall, Joe continues with forward motion, and those people tend to teeter off.
No, sure, but I feel like when it comes to YouTube, bro, like if Danny just starts, Danny just start doing video lessons on Drake. Or like Diddy, right? Like, I feel like, listen, and he does probably 10, 20,000 views, talking about Joe. Like, you could very easily get back to that number after a month or two of just doing Drake shit.
Because you're in the same lane content wise, basically, that he's in. And I kind of see how it works for you where you avoid the topics that are the big played out topics and you zero in on the stuff that's a little bit more niche. And I also feel like in terms of your view count, it's extremely important that you hit topics early before
Very
other
early.
big reaction channels, the Wes Watson thing.
Yeah.
I watched your video about it.
You did? Oh. Okay,
I watch Flakko videos all the time.
So do I.
But I watched that, and then I noticed that Too Lazy to Try dropped the same title, the same topic, a couple of days after you.
Yeah.
I feel like if he dropped that and then you dropped a couple of days after him because your channel's a little smaller, it would have been tough. But you actually hit it first, so you were able to get a shitload of views off it, right?
Yeah, man. Yo, bro, and he's dope as well too, though. No, but with Joe though, and here's why I feel like it's gonna hurt Joe, right? So Danny is more than just a Joe Budden reaction YouTube channel. He essentially runs the fan base, right? As he does the Twitter Spaces, the Discord. If Danny wasn't my dude, I would say Danny, you are a psychotic nigga, right? Can you imagine though, right? There's a dude who does YouTube videos on us, then does the Twitter Spaces, then runs our Discord. You would say, bro, you are this is some weird shit, right? So I feel if Danny says, yo, I'm gonna turn it from fuck being a fan of you, I'm gonna stop covering you on YouTube unless you do bad, and then take it to Twitter and do a Joe Budden, fuck Joe Budden Twitter space. Oh, it's gonna, bro, it's gonna hurt Joe.
He's a narrative maker now, and I think he has more power than he even realizes. And I think now that the gloves are off, the truth is that if Danny makes a video that is relentlessly critical of Joe, he's probably gonna get more views. If he leans into that, I feel like Joe might end up regretting his decision. He'll never admit it.
What's the origins of this arc? What was the specific incident that led to him changing his opinion on Joe?
No, so Joe brought his two stepkids into a Twitter space, turned them against each other, then chose one person as his favorite, which was Chiggs. And then he's shouting out Chiggs on the podcast, but then when he says Danny's name, he mutes it, right? So they come on, bro.
And he's been striking his channel for copyright anytime he uses anything from the Patreon.
There had to have been something that led to, because before Joe was supportive of Danny, right?
And it was an on and off, right? For example, when Danny does videos, Joe say, all right, cool. But then when Danny he covers the contract narratives, right? Of being fucked in contracts. Joe's bro, this is weird. Why you do this, right?
And he doesn't like that he just comes up with narratives where he has certain people on the channel that he'll be critical of. But from my perspective, having a lot of pretty relentless channels commentating on No Jumper, I would be thankful to have somebody like Danny doing content about No Jumper. And I feel like they're going to realize oh, it was better to keep this guy in a cool, friendly place than to turn him into an op.
Yeah, right. Because we had our Danny though, right?
David Russell.
No, hell no. What's the
good
dirt?
Old days,
right?
Shout out, What's the Dirt?
Yeah, right. And he was
What's the Dirt?
Yeah, right. And he was our Danny, and and he did just these great videos on us, and he actually he big us up, right? And then he pretty much said, bro, this is not really word for it, right? There's a cap to the ceiling of this, and he told me that he felt he had to be extremely negative to get the views that would be worth staying in his niche. So he's pretty much just left the niche and now he's big up, right?
But I see that pattern with a ton of YouTubers where you start out doing commentary on one very specific small thing and then you branch out as time goes by. And once you have that audience who's willing to watch almost all of your videos, then you can kind of branch out, cover other things. If the audience really fucks with you, they'll fuck with those videos, and they'll tune in to see you talk about stuff outside of that niche.
Danny is pretty knowledgeable dude when it comes to hip hop, so I do feel like he has a high ceiling.
He's a very smart guy in general.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for what Danny will accomplish as a podcaster in general. Or a content creator.
Yeah, right now. And like I feel like the rift between him and Joe kind of started as well when he came on No Jumper. And ever since then, bro, like Joe would like tell him in like Twitter Spaces, "Oh, you're like employer Adam," and make kind of like weird jokes about it. So it kind of felt like Joe sort of felt like slighted. You feel me, right?
So
like
that soured the relationship.
I won't say it soured it, but Danny did himself like no favors. You feel me, right? Like now, for example, right, like. I guess like coming here and doing
Danny's video of not bringing Lush back to No Jumper.
Oh yeah,
but that was my thing. Is that if he did feel any sort of way about like watch everybody, if you haven't seen it, go watch Danny from the Subs No Jumper interview. Does not say anything negative about Joe the whole time. It's obvious he's a fan. He's not using my platform as an opportunity. He fucking brought me Joe Budden's debut album, just for example. I mean, like he came on here and gave like very measured takes, and me and him, like even me, I've had my issues with Joe or whatever, but I don't think I said anything in that podcast that was like really that negative. It was like we were basically just having like a fair conversation about a podcast that realistically we're both fans of. Him, he watches every episode, I assume. Me, I just tune into the clips here and there, but like, you know, we're both fans of what Joe does. I don't understand why he wouldn't want to stay in good graces.
Well, also, like Joe's like a very particular person, very eccentric and difficult to get along with. He seems like have a hard time sustaining long-term camaraderie with people.
He's very unpredictable, right? Like for example, right? So I was in like a Twitter space with Joe, and Joe told me, "Why would I give you advice? I want you to fail." And then like the next week, I said, "Oh, bro, like I'll be in Jersey, right? No, right? Like to fuck with Act like soon, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, listen, yo, like tell Act to FaceTime me for me, let's talk, right?" So like, is days that he fuck with you, days he don't, and it's kind of like it feels like mind games, right? Like
I feel like he's joking a lot of the time.
But you want to know what this tells you a lot about the spirit of Joe Budden is that at one point Joe was trying to get Ack to line up a podcast, Vlad, Joe Budden, and Ack together. Vlad, wisely, I think, because Vlad is very risk adverse. Vlad really likes to like eliminate danger for himself in business and everything. I think that Vlad saw it for what it was and said, "Oh, if I go into this environment, there's a very good chance that I'm going to just be setting myself up to have Joe get whatever fucking narratives he wants off on me."
A culture vulture type of shit.
So Vlad says, "I'll be open to it, but I need to have a conversation with Joe off camera first." Joe said no. He's not doing it, which to me is kind of crazy because it's like face to face or on the phone.
Yeah.
We're probably going to be able to get to some kind of resolution that is indicative of the fact that we both respect each other's platforms and what each of the people has done. Yeah. Whereas if you just go onto the podcast, you're opening yourself up to basically do a big performative thing.
But that's like they've had legitimate smoke for a fat minute. Like it's
15 years of hating each other.
Literally.
Yeah, man. But like. Is after a while, like when do you say, "Okay, bro, like yeah, bro, like you posted a video of my friend, like what? Oh, Vlad, like you did wrong, but I, bro, like we both have went back and forth. Now let's just squash, because Joe and Vlad right now, I feel like would help each other come together than being apart, right?
Well, I feel like that's
all of us.
If all four of y'all were there, maybe Vlad would have been more inclined to be like, some of Joe's venom will get directed at Adam too. So,
I'm down. I'll fly out. That's a great idea. I'm all about it.
But though, speaking of Vlad though, so Vlad just started his podcast with Ari Spears, right? So
what's it called?
The Black Russian podcast.
Yeah.
Have you watched it yet?
No. I don't think I've seen any of the actual clips. No. But I always will watch like whatever clip stands out to me on Joe's shit. But I don't think I've seen any of them from that episode.
Yo, I was actually shocked. Like Vlad is listen. Maybe it's because like there was like a point in my life that I was sort of like avoiding of the content. Vlad is like he's a pretty great commentator.
No, what do you mean? He's one of the greatest.
No, like he won. So I assume like he was like one of like the greatest interviewers of all time, right?
Yeah,
possibly the greatest in the space, right?
Certainly the most successful, or like the person who's like gotten the most out of it, realistically.
No, right, but I never knew that Vlad was like a really great like commentator and perspective and could like. I was shocked, and And like, I feel like their podcasts have potential, but Aries Spears wouldn't really be like my first option for a Vlad TV like co-host, right? Because
odd choice,
right?
He's funny,
But they've been doing podcasts back to back for a long time, and especially even like the last year, they've just been kind of doing like nonstop back to back. I don't know.
Well, with Aries Spears, he could he could finally get his Jay-Z interview, because then Aries Spears could do his Jay-Z imitation or his LL Cool J. Like, have you not heard his impressions?
Oh, he's godly.
He is.
Word?
Oh, it's
yeah,
insane,
he's
yes.
literally
It's fucked.
No,
flawless impressionist.
no, like he's funny, but like for example, right? Like when you interviewed him, did you feel like he's somebody who could give like great opinions and perspective and like take different angles on like just trending news?
Vlad?
No, like
Ari Spears?
yeah.
I mean, I would say that he's going to be limited when it comes to talking about stuff that's like really of the moment hip hop wise. Like, I'm sure he pays attention to like bigger narratives and like mainstream shit that's going on. But I mean, I think Vlad likes that because Vlad is a huge comedy fan. Like, he just fucks with that. Yeah, he loves that shit.
Okay,
so I feel like for him, it gives him a good opportunity to discuss stuff kind of, but then like think about Vlad, he does the consistent podcast with Boosie. If he wants to talk about some gangster shit, some rap beef stuff, some like really in the weeds hip hop street shit, he's got Boosie. If he wants to talk about stuff that's a little bit more comedy oriented, he's got the thing with Ari Spears. You know, it makes sense, I think.
Yeah, comedians are social commentators. They're able to like riff on an array of topics, so it kind of makes
Is
sense.
it on and off though, right? Because what like I've noticed too, right, with like some comedians, like for example, like you can have like an Andrew Schultz where like he's like a mic by default, right? He's just some But then when you see like Akash sing and on like Joe Rogan, like Akash is out of his element. He's like, you know, right? Like he's getting, bro, like the entire like comment section is just saying, bro, like this dude is horrible. He sucks.
Really?
Oh, bro, it was insane.
Really? Oh my God.
Oh, they was roasting bro. They was saying, bro, like this is like the worst Joe Rogan shit I've ever watched, right? Because he was terrible, which is right. So like I don't see like Akash being like a B mic, right? And like when I watched like their first like couple of clips, Vlad is fantastic, but I don't see like in Aries Spears being like a consistent beat. Like he comes off as like a dude where, you know, he's like the Flakko, right? Where like here, right? I'm like the dude, you know, right? Like I chime in, right? Vlad needs like you and Vlad, right? Can like have like a podcast where you can actually like engage and then have kind of like the funny dude who just gives like, you know. Right?
But I mean,
like
the more people you shovel onto a podcast to fill different roles, the more expensive it gets to create that content. And, you know, I mean, I watched like a Nelk Boys podcast the other day with like 8 dudes on camera. Oh my God, the interrupting. And like, it's good because it moves the fucking pace of the show up a lot. Like, it's really fast paced, but it also makes it like almost impossible to stay on topic. Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of times I get that urge with a podcast to be like, oh, let's get 4 people, let's get 5 people. But like, the more people you get, the more difficult it becomes to control what's going on in the room.
And where do you draw the line between podcast and panel? At what point is it's no longer a podcast?
Yeah, right. Because Nelk is definitely like a panel, right?
But that's a different style podcast than they normally do. Normally, they're just doing interviews. They just had Will Smith. I'm not sure how in depth they went into the whole slap.
But like, are they like good interviewers though? Because like for example, like Kyle. I wouldn't say Kyle is an A mic. Like Steiny isn't no A mic. Bradley Martin, when he's there, he's probably like the closest thing to like A mic, right?
An A mic for sure.
I think that the appeal of Nelk Boys, aside from the fact that they're already like famous and people already fuck with them and people relate to them, is that I think they represent the average young white man in America or Canada as well, I suppose.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what they bring to the table. Because, okay, say I was like a wrestling historian. Like I watched Kyle interview Hulk Hogan a few months back. Yeah. It's like, if I'm a wrestling fanatic and I know everything about wrestling, I could do an amazing Hulk Hogan interview.
Absolutely.
Guess what? Doesn't really probably resonate with the audience. Whereas like a Kyle and a Steiny doing it, and they have like very kind of like middle of the road knowledge of a Hulk Hogan. I feel like that does kind of lend itself to the audience being into it. I feel like the same audience wouldn't really be the types to go watch like a super in-depth in the weeds Hulk Hogan interview, you know?
Delving into certain intricacies that might be exciting to hardcore wrestling fans or not knowing the general public's not going to really give a fuck.
The same way that like Kai Cenat could have a guest on and people would love it because they're just hanging out having fun.
Yeah.
And then maybe I interview that dude and I ask him like super gritty in-depth questions and it's like, it might technically be a better interviewer, but like the scale of like who's going to be interested in it is not going to be the same. People are more attracted to just seeing people have fun than to watch like a super in-depth interview. It's like two very different lanes.
So essentially what you're saying is Nelk appeals to simple-minded people in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I'm not saying simple-minded, but I'm saying, you know, people that aren't like, you know, if they interviewed Lil Durk.
Yeah.
They didn't ask him all the fucking super in-depth questions that asked Lil Durk.
They didn't ask him about this ain't what they want video shoot.
Right.
Thing. Yeah.
And I would almost be willing to guess that like the Lil Durk full send interview might have more views than the Lil Durk interview, which I don't think he put the full thing on.
Well,
the full thing came out on Spotify.
Right.
But that kind of says a lot. If like, you know, but Act's going to do what Act's going to do because Act brings a certain value to the situation, which is that he does know about some of the street shit and the different intricacies of these rappers and shit.
Question for you, right? So why do you feel like, for example, right, like the wrestling and interviewers, and they won't say, oh my God, like the Nug Boys got this. But then in hip hop media, if let's say like the Nug Boys or like Kai Cenat gets, you know, like let's say like Dirk, you have like the Elliot Wilsons like, oh my God, why? Oh my God, you know, hip hop journalism. Or do you feel like it's because there's like a lack of resources in hip hop media that
I think there's a lot of hip hop personalities, older guys who are like realizing that the door is swinging shut and that their last days are upon them and that they're fighting for relevance, you know. And it's like the reality is that at some point, maybe I'm there right now, but at some point,
nah, man, you're not there yet.
You're going to be dealing with that. Like at some point, you're going to just be faced with like younger, more energetic, more entertaining, more popular people that you're going to basically be in competition with. And I don't think that like shaming the younger generation or the hosts that speak for the younger generation is really like a way to survive in that kind of environment.
Well, it's like literally the equivalent of how T.I. and Jeezy probably felt when the Migos and Young Thug were becoming popular. It's like this is a whole new era that's kind of passing you by that is more culturally relevant than you. And what are you going to do to maintain it? And you feel a certain level of entitlement because of all the work you put in. But really, ultimately, you're only as powerful as the most recent numbers you put up. So.
But also think about this. Vlad's 50. So Vlad's just as old as a lot of the guys that we look at as kind of aging out of hip hop media right now. But along the way, Vlad has made friends and built relationships with the Act, the Say Cheese, etc. Like Vlad, as much as he may not be like the young, cool, hot interviewer, he's the old head of this fucking realm, but he's managed to like really build dope relationships with people. And that will aid him a lot as these years go by, that it'll keep him young in the audience's mind because he clearly has good relationships with the younger generation of media personalities.
Well, and I also don't see Elliot Wilson being interested in doing like a extensive sit down with X4. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like things like that. He's not even having conversations with for me, Elliot Wilson, when he did those year-end interviews with Drake, and then he did one with Griselda, I think the following year, that's kind of the last time, besides his little car interview things, where he was in the forefront of the conversation. Hip-hop media.
And there was a time, right, like where like Rap Radar was one of like the premier like hip hop podcasts.
No, I look up to Elliot Wilson. I'm not hating.
Me too, but when you see him having animosity for the future generation of content creators, it makes you, as somebody who's always a fan of him, like you're a fan of your grandpa,
right?
But there becomes a point where you're like, okay, you're old as fuck. Like you're kind of aging out of this shit. Or especially when you feel like it would be like you fuck with your grandpa, but if your grandpa wants to come to the skate park with you, if your grandpa wants to come hang out at the trap house, it starts to become an issue. The fact that they're old as fuck starts to really shine through. Whereas when you just are in a grandfather role, you fuck with them.
This reminds me of like when Michael Rappaport was having his vitriolic rage.
Oh, he sucks ass so bad, bro. I hate that dude, man.
But him going off on like Lil Xan and trying, you know what I mean? Like, bro, like.
And I did a podcast with Michael Rappaport maybe a year ago.
Oh, really?
And you remember that there was a time period where like Michael Rappaport's takes on hip hop would be going viral on a very consistent basis. Yeah. And I do feel like he at a certain point just kind of started to be honest and just sort of like accepted that he is the old guy talking about rap, because like when he was interviewing me, he did like a fucking hip hop Q&A where he's trying to get me to answer like, you know, who were the original members of Sugar Hill Gang, etc. Which Lush probably was like,
Big Mac.
Wonder Mike. I think I named like a couple of them or whatever, but it's like you know, it's like that is a lane. That is one of the lanes available to you, you know?
But the thing is, also, I think a lot of the Michael Rappaport shit was tongue-in-cheek because he is known for giving his very aggressive and incensed takes on basketball.
Of course.
And what he was doing with Hoop. And then he kind of just did that same
turned to a rat too, though, right?
Yeah, and yeah.
Right. Cause he was and he was known as kind of like the white boy that all the blacks like fuck with, and then like Kevin Durant and him had like a back and forth, and then like he like screenshot and said, "Yo, Kevin Durant is trying to kill me," right? And so I said, bro, like you corny. And then also too though, right? Like
I want to be an engineer.
Yeah, right.
Engineer,
right? Like, and I feel like 2012, 2013 was like the era before people started hating like Jewish people, right? Right. Like that was before like the anti-Semitism, grand conspiracy, like became like mainstream, right? Like now, like if he gives a fucking opinion on Lil Durk, like man.
But I think there's also a thing where like the younger generation probably doesn't even have the memories of his movie roles in the way that we do.
They don't even know who he is.
Yeah, so that's a tough spot to be in. But Elliot's dealing with that too.
Did you even see Higher Learning? Have you that's what I'm saying? Flakko's generation.
That was my first R-rated movie.
We'll play the Nazi in there, by the way.
Killed it.
But speaking of podcasting, right now, listen. So
this guy,
listen. I like George Janko, right? And I feel like my only issue with George Janko is he represents this trend that I hate, right? Where if you are trying to leave a larger platform, there's one concrete formula to where you can use and you'll get on. Is you leave. But you villainize who, like, for example, right?
And granted, George Janko has use of both of his arms.
Yeah, right. No. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about this. Now, I don't even think that they like use like in this formula and on purpose, but I do feel like George definitely used it, and right, like where like you leave a big platform. You vilify that platform and say, yo, I am the victim. Then people will galvanize around you and give your shit right?
As someone that's actually been through that, that is 100% the formula.
It works.
Like
it works.
And part of that, to be fair, part of that is a lot of times, for me, I could say it's based on the echo chamber of people like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to sustain viewership or gain any interest at this point. This is what people want me to talk about. Yeah. So I'm going to lean into that role. So it would make perfect sense for that to be the template of what people do. Right. Although obviously not the classy move.
It's not right? The classy move. Right? Now, the catalyst of George leaving though was like, was when the Bobby Lee thing happened, right?
Yeah. From listening to him, though, he's put out a lot of stuff about this over the years, or over the last year or so, and it's like, there was a lot of things that seems like it pushed George away. My issue with George was always the fact that he didn't seem willing to take criticism when Logan was telling him that he needed to chill with the fucking Christianity on camera. Now, I get it. People are religious. You got to respect that. This is my thing, though. Not everybody's speaking the same language. So if you're talking to people and you're just like kind of defaulting to talking about the 10 Commandments or Jesus or whatever, bro, like I got all kinds of reference points that I could go to on any given day. We could watch a clip and I could say, oh, this reminds me of this Youth of Today live performance that I went to in 1996 or whatever. I could compare shit to BMX skateboarding. Guess what? I don't bring that shit up all the time because it's not relatable to a mass audience. And Jesus and shit, granted, Christianity, very popular religion, but the vast majority of people watching this are not religious or not of your religion, or just think it's weird for you to be relating everything back to Jesus.
Well, it's like odd timing.
Yeah, and that's an oversimplification of what he brought to Impulsive, but I do feel like he to me is like indicative of somebody who just was not capable of taking advice when it came to the podcast. So that was the only thing that I always had against him. But right here we have a post of him from his podcast where George Janko claims he was sexually harassed by Bobby Lee during the Impulsive podcast, which led to him quitting. At least he's not pretending to get shot. He alleges that Logan Paul threatened to fire him if he didn't apologize for walking off set. Let's run the clip.
Never had a problem with Bobby Lee.
No, he knows
I had a problem with the way that Logan and you were kind of gassing him to keep doing. He started the episode putting his balls in my face. I let that one go. Then every 2 seconds, he kept grabbing my dick.
I don't think...
How would you feel if a man that has his back completely towards you, that only turns around to grab your dick, talk shit to your face, and you can't smack or beat the living breaks off of this guy because Logan makes me apologize to this man, or I don't have a job on Impulsive anymore? How fucking crazy is that? I said, Mike, this is all that happens, and you said verbatim, you said, it's our fault for not telling you this, but me and Logan are really the ones who should be talking to the guest. You are really there for a boys only episode. So while I get sexually harassed, my other co-host is trying to fire me, and you're trying to leverage me to be quiet during other guests.
All right, let's be fair.
Yeah.
It is very weird to be on a podcast and to be playing grab ass with a guy on the podcast that you don't even know that well. I feel like Bobby Lee kind of lives this like this serene life where he feels like he is funny. He's so funny and he's cute and he's not like a aggressive.
Not threatening.
Yeah, he's not threatening, and it feels like he can get away with stuff like that, whereas like a person like me would never attempt that because it'd be so obvious to me that somebody like George would react that way. But he's a comedian and he's funny, and it's like.
But wait, but this whole narrative is brand new. Nobody was talking about the fact that he was trying to like.
Yeah,
Well, I think they edited some of it out.
Yeah,
That never came across our desk.
No, right, but according to George Janko, so Logan like it edited out a bunch of that and then never had his back publicly, and then also too though, like one of like the biggest like breaking point was Logan told George, because George had like a sponsorship for another like drink brand,
Celsius,
right? And on his own podcast,
which is basically like crystal meth in a fucking
right.
He took offense. Logan felt a certain way about it because he's out here pushing Prime. Obviously, they have the energy drink version of that.
But that's
of course, that's going to be an issue if you're on a podcast and you're getting paid. But I mean, George had this whole victim thing that it was prior to all this, where he was talking about how he basically like was losing money on being part of Impulsive and all this kind of shit. I don't know. I mean, it's just like this is what people do on the way out the door. They pull this victim act.
This is how I know who this guy George is because of his tenure on Impulsive. Were y'all privy to him before that?
No, but though, right? And here's like the main question though, right? So George just did a podcast with Bobby. It's sort of like wrapped up, you know, like this whole saga, right?
Bobby apologized.
Yeah, right? So now, since this whole saga now is now like wrapped up and George is going his separate way, he's doing his thing. A year from now, who do you think will have the more successful podcast? Impulsive or George Janko?
I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. I don't even think that. I mean,
George for sure, right?
But I have seen George pulling some decent numbers. I feel like
the Andrew Tate one, the Jordan Peterson one.
George,
I do not see him being more successful than Impulsive, and he's funny. I actually like enjoyed him on there.
Right, he's doing everything. You got Charlie Kirk interview,
bro. He lit right now, bro. Look.
All right, let's peep the interviews. All right, 1 million or the views. 1 million on
numbers for
1 million on Bobby Lee, but that makes sense because obviously he's talking about all this drama and stuff. I don't know who the fuck John Bellion is, but he got 200K on that.
Artist.
441 responding to Logan Paul, Vitaly, etc. Confronting Mike. 2 million views. That obviously was also like him talking about Impulsive and whatnot. And then, you know, he's got this guy with 130K. RFK Jr., 167K. He's going to fight somebody? Starting my fight journey, 126K. It might be clickbait. Yeah, I mean...
Wait, no, like down some more?
It feels like...
See, Jordan Peterson...
Candace Owens $1 million. See, but why is he doing all the conservative types? Like, is that his lane? I didn't think that he was like...
He's a Christian... Like, he's like a Christian, like, conservative, but he leads more with the Christianity, so we don't know that he's conservative, right?
He's not a Catholic nationalist like your boy Fuentes.
I mean, honestly, he does have pretty crazy...
His numbers are off the hook. I'm not gonna lie.
He's killing it on a lot of this
And like, he started off, though, doing about 40,000 per episode when he left Impulsive. So now he's going up.
Oh, yeah.
Logan is going down.
Because, look, you go back to 6 months ago, Josh Richards, 78K.
Yeah.
This one, 61K.
Clearly, the Tate interview was the culmination.
Andrew Tate, 13 million views. That sent them off into the stratosphere. Yeah.
He has one that cracked 100K before that.
Damn, you know, Tyler Yahweh feels bad that he gave him a 19K-er. Yeah.
19?
No, but I feel like you could kind of see, as long as we're doing podcast reviews and criticism, let's take a look at Rory and Mal, because I feel like they are consistently hitting like much better numbers than they were like even a few. It's hard because you got to avoid clips, but
no, like gold
in order
podcast.
Oh, so you go to the playlist or whatever on the front. We don't want clips. We want full episodes. Look, they don't even have plays for the full episodes on their fucking homepage.
I don't know. The numbers don't look that crazy.
Yeah, Rory, hire me. You don't know what you're doing. Even them getting 50K on their regular episode and shit, 68K, it's pretty good because their shit was looking ugly for a minute. And I felt bad. 92K. What I will say about them, though, and I feel like it's something that we could learn from in comparison to Rory and Mal is that they really go hard on having like a very unique thumbnail on every episode, and it kind of seems like a ton of work goes into it. Like they want to make each thumbnail really memorable for you, which I feel like is probably a pretty good idea in terms of like making each episode stand out to the audience, because a huge percentage of podcasts, this one included, kind of have like the same thumbnail on every episode, which I don't think is like necessarily the best thing. I think the thumbnail is such a thing that you gotta.
That's crazy. That
talking about Selena Powell.
They'll have drops with 3.5 thousand and then drops with 99,000. Like that's like.
But if you're seeing 3.5, that's probably a clip.
Yeah.
Because the clips are all like listed off here as well. Yeah.
Yo, listen, right? And like, while like I root for them, like, right, like, you know, just like a sidetrack and shit, right? Rory is actually bro, like he's like, I always assume because like I guess I have like close ties with like academics that Rory will like hit my guts, but no, bro, like he reaches out, you know, right? Like you feel me, and he showed love. He said, "Yo," so I say, "Listen, man, I fuck with Rory, right?" But though the Impulsive podcast, though, can we like go back to like that shit?
Let's pull that up because I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see what their numbers are in comparison to George.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, right.
You just want to see what Impulsive?
I had no idea that Bobby was playing grab ass that whole episode. I thought he was just roasting him.
His dick.
And I thought George was being super sensitive.
Because I'll be real, bro. Like the Impulsive like started off doing like 5 million a piece. Now they're on their way down. So again.
I mean, their numbers are still
pretty solid. I mean,
pretty solid.
They get something like Oliver Tree that's going to get 300K, but then I remember the one that they were bummed about the view count, which was what's that little girl's name? Jazzy or some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, right here. Famous 13-year-old hijacks Logan Paul's interview, 169K. They were like bummed about that view count, but I mean. You know, that's kind of like No Jumper. Like if we'll interview somebody that we don't really have like high hopes that they're going to like have the shit go viral. Yeah. Whereas when you look through Logan's thing, he doesn't do as much content, but KSI, Mark Cuban, Casey Neistat, Randy Orton, you know, Sophia Frankel, they kind of stick to like guests that seem like they'll do big numbers. But like I was surprised to see NULAA, who I only know from beefing.
That dude is huge, though.
He's huge, right? Why they only do 260? I don't know. But either way, I mean, like, you see this all the time.
Predominantly with the Spanish speaking
community, though. No way that's real.
What? Patrick Mahomes?
No way that's real.
And Speed?
No way that's real.
Together, they only got 760K. I feel like having Speed on is like the craziest cheat code ever. Yeah.
Like he had like Mahomes on for real?
I mean, he's in the fucking thumbnail. I don't know.
Nah, just what the fuck?
Yeah. And
what the fuck? It's 700,000 views. That's
a L, right?
And that's what I'm saying, though, Adam. Right? Like, listen,
Patrick Mahomes.
If this was this time last year, this is doing like 10 million views and easily.
I don't know about last year, but I mean, in general, yeah. But I feel like you're seeing that effect on podcasts in general, where it's like there just will be like booms, and I feel like. At a certain point, Impulsive was fucking gigantic. Because keep in mind, they've been doing this for a long time. When I had the guy pull the fucking gun on me, that was 2018, and right away I go and do Impulsive right after. So that's 6 years ago, and they had probably been doing it for a year before that. So Impulsive, as much as it feels like a newer podcast, is not that much older than No Jumper. Like
would that much younger. The peak of their relevance was like around the time of the Island Boys incident and all that.
That was pretty good. But I feel like the very, very beginning was when they like were just going nuts. But you're always going to kind of have that. Logan Paul starts a podcast. All his fans that watch the vlogs are going to come over and watch that shit. But there's just so many podcasts now. It's like really fucking hard to keep that standard of like multiple million views per episode. You see the Nelk Boys doing it too, but like the Nelk Boys, their podcast is newer. They're in direct competition with Impulsive. They're going for the exact same types of guests, you know? So
that's the 19-year-old boys.
And me and Vlad have had this conversation a bunch of times where it's like, he does interviews sometimes that he really thinks are going to do really fucking well, and they probably would have done really well in 2020, but in 2024 they ain't hitting the same because the market is fucking flooded. And it's like, if you want to stand out these days, you got to kind of do your thing, which I guess brings us to our next topic that I'm interested to hear what you guys think about. Whack 100, Snoopy Badass, and Adam sat down for the Adam and Whack show, and during the podcast, Whack 100 said that Snoopy wasn't Pyru, and in more ways than one, more words than none, that's a weird way to say that, called Snoopy a snitch. Do you think Wack did the interview in good faith? And do you think that this interview benefited Snoopy Badass in any way? Flakko, very well written. What do you guys think? Is that AI?
No, definitely. So good faith, no. And I love Wack, which is why I feel like Wack 100 is a decorated soldier of war. I feel like Wack 100 like could write the 48 laws of power.
Man,
that nigga is a crafty Negro. Like he is crafty, right? So, and here's why I don't feel like it's in like it was in good faith, right? Even like during the podcast he told like you about like his beef or trying to expose like oh my God, like he's a snitch guy, man. Who just
G-Face?
Yeah, right? Right? So yo, it was weird, right? Because he was telling like Snoopy the exact same play that he's running on Snoopy right now is he ran the same play on G-Face, which was, G-Face started off saying like, fuck Wack 100. Wack sort of like acted like, and he was cool with him. And then Wack told you, hey, bruh, I bring him on to fucking expose this nigga. Bring him on, right? So I feel like Wack 100 is somebody, man, where, if you cross Wack 100 once, he's never going to forgive you.
He is more vengeful and vindictive than Sicilians. Like he will hold on to it. And literally, I felt like this is an example of Wack playing chess with the Connect 4 player. Just someone that's clearly not capable. Now, Snoopy Badass on his original, I don't know if that was his first, but his original viral No Jumper appearance sometime last year, which was during the midst of the No Jumper Lush animosity and beef. He had some not so kind choice words for myself.
Oh, really? Okay.
Understandable, because at the time he was somewhat lobbying for a position as a No Jumper correspondent
I love
or
Snoopy.
employee. I got nothing. I'm not tripping. I also am friends with a former associate of his, so that, shout out to my guy Travis Ford.
Yeah.
So
right. So do you feel like he did it in good faith? And then you can answer the.
I feel like
the other one.
I feel like he came over here with the best of with who? Snoopy or
no Wack?
No,
Wack
I think Wack clearly was trying to line that man up, and he did it in expert fashion in a way that it makes him look like he's beyond reproach. You can't actually point your finger and say you did this on purpose.
So look at me.
Right.
I said, listen, Russell, look. Listen, Russell, like, and there was a point where I said, your Wack is so good that your Wack got him like across his fingers, right? So Wack like called him like a kid. Adam like tried to say, nah, bro, like he's a grown ass man. And Snoopy said, nah, Adam, nah, Wack is right. I said, yo, bro, Wack right now is playing like I feel like it should be illegal for any local gang member, bro, to beef with Wack 100. Clearly, y'all are not like operating on the same frequency of intelligence as that man.
He busted the same move on G-Face and Snoopy, which is like.
And he told Snoopy that too, like during the podcast.
Yeah, this is the play. He talks to them separately, and he makes them feel comfortable and gets them on board and makes them feel like it's going to be a smooth sailing interview. Yeah. And then when you actually do the interview, he kind of hits you over the head with his actual like real strong opinions about it. And I don't feel like Wack. Okay, coming from different places, because Wack has no real invested thing in G-Face aside from the fact that he just doesn't like people who told or whatever. Yeah. But when it comes to Snoopy, Wack don't care about too much besides the pie emoji and the kangaroo emoji back to back. That's big Pyru business. Yeah. He don't like anybody claiming that shit that doesn't make his shit look good. Mm-hmm. So for him, I feel like the Snoopy thing was kind of inevitable that it was going to come
close to home.
But it also like Wack took it to like he didn't tell G-Face, hey, you got to stop saying you're from White Fence.
Yeah.
He told Snoopy, you shouldn't be calling yourself a Pyru anymore. That's some shit.
Yeah, but there's political boundaries. Like he's not in a position to you know what I mean? Like, although he wouldn't have been wrong to say that regardless. The thing is, Wack really at the end of the day, he's the motherfucking Grim Reaper when it comes to this shit, dog.
Yeah. Yo, listen, it was odd too, right? Is that I was watching like the Snoopy interview, like the first one. Now I talked to Snoopy and he said, bro, I came in with good faith. I'm trying to prove to people that I'm not somebody that like that's like hard to work with and a hothead that y'all can actually like work with me and talk to me. So he said like he took it because he wanted to prove to people that he could be, and on a podcast and he's not some type of dude that's just a wild card, right?
Which I do say. Yeah. I will say he has potential as a podcaster.
Oh,
I feel like he's
the most potential.
I feel like he's an interesting dude in that context. For sure.
Bro, he's hilarious, right? But and here's why I'm like damn Snoopy, right? Because even like during his first No Jumper interview, he told Adam, "Yo, Wack 100 was my friend." Then he like leaked my text messages, got me in beef with this other gang that was like real serious, and then he infiltrated my friend group, got them not to back me, and left me on an island by myself. So Wack 100 had already like ran like a similar play on Snoopy, and then became friends with him again, and then like. I'm like, why would you even like fall for this again, right? I'm like, bro, if you are like a gang member, you should understand, like, at least, bro, if you've been to prison, like, you should at least understand how people like this play, you know?
Well, and that's why another reason why he had the initial words for me is because I interviewed somebody he viewed as an op, even though I didn't say anything about him, I didn't slander his name or anything. Travis Ford, who's, dope artist from LA. Crip, good dude, but ultimately, do y'all feel like?
Do y'all feel like have a pod soon, right?
Do y'all feel like Wack's methodology?
We got like another 20-30 minutes.
Do y'all feel like Wack's methodology when he does these things is kind of equivalent to Chris Hansen?
Oh yeah,
like he's like literally finesses them into feeling comfortable enough to pop up, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you're a snitch. He's like the snitch Chris Hansen.
No, right. So look,
exposer.
No, right. Listen, right. Like. I tell Wack in like all the time, bro. I'm terrified of Wack and even Adam, right? Because people with a certain level of intelligence, I just deem as unpredictable, right? Meaning this, right? Like if you have a certain level of like intelligence, bro, it's hard for me like to like predict the angle or what you're up to, right? And like so, like right, like so Wack would be like, yo, bro, like you don't pick up your phone, bro. I'm terrified to hop on a phone call with you, right? Why, right? Because he could like kind of like lead me down like this rabbit hole where I'm saying things out of like I don't even know, right? And then he like screen records it and leaks it. Now I got like beef with 20 gangs, right? So like I'm just like terrified of Wack 100 that I don't even like.
You have beef with 20 gangs because you've made 20 different videos that said this person just started a gang war in LA.
Yo,
next topic,
right? No, right? No, look, the Ace Boy Trey though was mad at me though.
Right.
Is that why you're banned from Long Beach? Because of Ace Boy?
Nah, jokes, right?
Yeah,
jokes, right? No jokes. No, but he was mad at me because I thought that I was like giving him like a compliment, right? Right, saying, yo, hey, listen, that's my guy. So when I talk about dudes that AD is around, I'm gonna say, yo, he's the notorious, the gang member from right. Right,
you hype him up,
yeah,
because you are a fucking gang member, and you obviously put yourself out there like a tough guy. So when you come and just exaggerate a little tiny bit and be like, ooh, he's the big bad boogeyman Crip,
yeah, right.
That's like you doing him a fucking favor. Like, listen, it might sound a little crazy just in comparison to some of the things that Brick Baby took it upon himself to say on the podcast the other day, but Brick Baby, there's been times where. I said something on the podcast that might have sounded a little federal, and I mentioned it to him afterwards, and I was like, yo, do you care that I said that? And he was like, I don't give a fuck. Let him hype it up.
But that's literally equivalent to when academics used to call King Lil J the Chirac Wolverine.
Right. It might have felt offensive in the moment, but ultimately he was building these fucking dudes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because if I'm Ace Boy Trey, guess what he needs? People talking about him. Because ain't nobody talking about you.
And he told me, oh, I'm police. I try to like get him like locked up and caught up for calling him a notorious gang member.
You should be so lucky.
And it's fuck me. He's not.
You need to try to get locked up to get some clout going so that people will actually want to hear what you got to talk about on stream. You should go to the police department with an 8-ball in hand and say, hey, lock me up. I need something to talk about on the podcast.
Right.
They got me sitting all the way in the back. You can't see me. Can I at least get a ring light or something? I don't know.
We're like,
not an 8-ball in hand.
That's just an idea. Whatever you want to do.
No, right. And like, I call myself the Lil Ace Boy Trey.
Infant.
Yeah, right. Which again was extreme dick riding, right? I'll hold it, but
it's funny. It's like you do the same type of shit I do, where you say something that's out of pocket to get the laugh.
Yeah,
it could be a little removed from the truth,
right? But
that's like when you're like on 6-0 No Jumper Crip, essentially, like shit
like that. Which I don't even. That's a little edgy, but
no, listen though,
that's a little too real.
No, right?
A little too tapped in.
And the other guy too, and he hates me now too, called Ace Boy Reels, and he hates me. Guess why, right? So he was like going at it with the Menace Material guys and saying, yo, they were like fucked up for talking about somebody's wife.
Yo, that guy got the worst takes.
And
what is going on with him? He needs to do anything possible to just stop having the worst takes ever. He might have the crown for the worst takes.
Pretty good though.
Under the umbrella, he got the worst takes.
He's pretty moderate. He doesn't say that.
No, right?
Yeah.
Look, Russell, So he said, oh, like he's mad at me because I said, well, like we can't act like we are like, above everybody else and saying, bro, how dare you speak on somebody's wife when you spoke on Adam's wife? And he said, I said, like, he was just mad at me for that. I said, bro, I can't win.
Well,
man.
and the funniest shit, I just remember the funniest shit that I seen that fucking Rios guy say, and I was dying laughing about it with AJ after the fact, is he said that it's wrong to disrespect Heather and T-Rail's relationship because there is nobody in the black podcast community space who have their relationship being presented to the public. There is nobody else demonstrating what a happy black relationship looks like besides them. That was the moment that I was like, oh, so you're under the umbrella, but you're really under the umbrella. Like, you're not paying attention to anything else that's going on out here because we got DJ Envy doing fucking book tours. He's one of the biggest podcasters. He's doing book tours talking about cheating on his wife. Get the fuck out of here. There's a million people doing that. And to use that, like somebody makes a criticism of T-Rail and Heather and to say, you can't criticize them. They're the only black relationship in the podcast world.
It's like, come on.
Nobody will ever watch your podcast if you're bringing that brain dead of a take to the table. People want to hear interesting opinions. They want to hear funny opinions. They want to see friends having a good time. They don't want to hear the dumbest opinion imaginable. So next time you have an opinion on camera, try to make sure it's not the dumbest possible thing you could ever say in a million years. That's my tutelage for you.
Especially when like people like Joe Budden have had several relationships straight in the public eye. I mean, there's entire shows dedicated to it, spin-off shows and all that.
Insane, yeah.
That's just that's a
no. He's under. I get it now. He's under the umbrella. You can't see anything. The umbrella is deep, and his head is inside of it.
So you like think it's odd, right? Okay, so that like Keem and Macwap try to pretend like, oh, they had no idea that like and AJ and them, like said this about Heather and T-Rail, right?
I believe it because I don't even know what those motherfuckers said about me. I know they've talked about me a bunch of times. I don't care. I don't even click the videos with my fucking name in them. And then on top of that,
they roasted you.
That's their. Yeah, I know that. I'm sure they've roasted me. I don't give a fuck. This is podcasting. It's all good. But meanwhile, at the same time, like, I don't expect Keem and Macwap. I don't even know if they've really like spent time watching Menace material at all. Like, it doesn't surprise me at all that they didn't know that.
Wait, no. Adam,
they have negative feelings towards Sharp. I didn't fucking know that.
No, listen, Russell. Look. So like, here's the rabbit hole, right? Here's the rabbit hole.
Bust it up.
Let's go down the rabbit hole, Adam. All right.
Okay.
So Keem on other podcasts prior was shouting them out. Keem said that he watches all their shit.
Let's be real. The Apollo hates T-Rail.
Of course, but hey, of course, Macwap hates T-Rail.
They're still like kind of remember it's a wobbler.
Yeah.
The wobbler thing was way better than the bummer summer thing. Nobody gonna say that shit. The wobbler thing was hot.
I like
that. Was back when that shit was popping. Wobbler is good, but they're still staying in a wobbler's place because they don't want to fully jump off the deep end. But they obviously fucking hate T-Rail. That's why they fucking push that shit.
So Macwap straight up does not fuck with T-Rail.
Well, okay. So they are cool, but here, right? So look, for example, right? If you bring on my wife's op, and then y'all purposely play Lil Wayne in the beginning of the stream with my wife ops.
I didn't even know that, but that's such an extreme example. What the fuck are we talking about?
Man, right? But they said, we just play Lil Wayne while Menace is here for talking about Heather. And I said, come on, bro. Like, after a while, bro, there's not enough coincidences, bro, like that we can say, okay, they just ain't know. No, they knew.
No, they playing.
And they did that on purpose, I believe, to get at, Heather and T-Rail, for example, right? I think that it was extremely odd, right? That Keem and Macwap kind of like pushed T-Rail to leave, right? So they could sort of like, like, again, they do their own thing, right? But to kind of like, hey, bro, like, if you leave, we kind of like align ourselves to you. It helps our channel out. But then once our channel now is booming, oh, we don't like come to your like Fridays and Mondays no more. Like they just like.
But to be fair, there's a lot of reasons that they felt disrespected. Remember the COVID thing?
No. Well, Keem, yes,
That was crazy.
And that's when the fan base started to turn against them. That was the beginning of the cookie crumbling.
Yeah.
And I would like to. There's a lot of No Jumper fans. They'll never admit it, but they had a period of time about a year ago in which they thought that T-Rail was up next, and they came back. They came back home. I'm not saying they never watched that content. They came back home and they realized 22ster got the good shit. I got that good work.
When
that blue magic.
when they had that sold
and we got
out,
Blue Jasmine.
There you
That's
go.
a very Lush style thing. Yeah.
The question, wait, hey, right? So look, right? Okay, look, but then like outside of you though, Adam, like T-Rail is like the second like biggest guy, right, in LA, right? In terms of like the podcasting space.
He's actually a very small man, but no,
Yeah, like-
I feel like
There's like Bootleg Kev, but I feel like T-Rail right now has more impact than like Bootleg Kev, right?
well, Bootleg Kev is like an interviewer, so it's very hard to compare like an interviewer versus somebody who kind of like screams
commentator,
by themselves. I don't know.
Does
It's kinda
Vlad
tricky.
count?
See, again, yeah, Vlad is like primarily an interviewer, but he's also he's issuing his own takes on his podcast regardless, you know?
Is he LA or New York? Because I feel like we have to like sort of
Vlad's
like
LA.
Vlad's from up north. He's lived out here primarily for forever.
Vlad's a West Coast platform.
So you, Vlad, and then T-Rail is third, right? In terms of like the biggest, like the person who does. Like,
I think a year ago he was.
Okay.
Now I feel like he's kind of like on the same. I feel like Nina Boy is bigger than T-Rail.
Come on,
I feel like there's a lot of people in LA that are like just as relevant
We
as
can let you
him.
get away with that, man. Come on out, bro. Again, I love Nina Boy, bro.
Danny from the Stop has
Catch it,
issued a
though.
correction.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'm not done covering Joe's content, LOL. I'm just covering other stuff more, which is what I assumed. That he wasn't going to completely stop covering Joe.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Was there a point, Adam, where you felt like they damn near had the ups on you? That you felt like,
Oh, come on.
like when they did the live show?
I just kind of had to wait around for the audience to catch on.
Yeah.
Catch this, though. Wait, what's it say?
Catch it though.
Catch it, though.
Catch it though.
I love
Nina
that.
Boy, yeah.
Shout out Nina
That's
Boy.
crazy.
That was a shout out, Nina Boy. That wasn't a diss.
Yeah.
I can already imagine his clickbait from the night.
Boy. Here, let's find like at least one more we could get through.
Going down here, I'm gonna scroll past the Bevo thing at
that's
least
not
for
really
the
cool.
moment.
Speaking of fucking useless human beings,
You want to do
the Shannon Sharp and Jason Lee, or the Charlemagne, or
okay? Because I haven't even seen this one, so this sounds interesting.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so let's do.
Jason Lee got on Shannon Sharp's
Hollywood Unlocked office, watching the premiere of the Ray J interview on Hollywood Unlocked, Jason Lee show. What up, Ray? And you know what's so crazy? I'm sitting here trying to think of a video that I can post to promote the show that will not throw me off from city council and stay in my whole political bag, but also give you the tea that you all show up for every day. And I was thinking, I heard that Shannon Sharp launched the same interview or a similar interview at the same time, or he did it earlier than mine because he wanted his to go first, and she did that. He did that intentionally. Had to catch myself.
He misgendered Shannon Sharp.
And so I was like, how can I say something to get people's attention to let them know that I ain't lost to Jason Lee that they all fell in love with? And I just want to say, you big old bad Bill Botch body broadcaster had the audacity to come and drop an interview on the same time or earlier than my interview so that way you could get the clicks when you know damn well you're not going to shimmy your hips to get to the dance that we all need with Ray J. Shay Shay, you got out the car built like that and you ain't built for this. But congratulations on getting the same interview on the same day I did. But the only difference between me and you, Shay Shay,
he's holding the picture to make him look fatter. He's like bending the piece of paper.
More common than you think.
You see, calls him gay right there.
Go.
We got more common than you think.
Yeah.
But you don't think he's just suggesting that you maybe
Nah.
are like zesty adjacent? I don't know, but yo, this is very, very similar to a conflict that me and Jason Lee had, where I believe that like
Blueface.
Okay, oh my god, he interviewed Blueface and Krishan, right? And then like the same day, we interviewed Blueface, and he mentioned the thing about Meg Thee Stallion giving him top.
Yeah,
and I basically like talked about it before the episode even came out in order to kind of like seize upon the viral nature of that statement, which granted in the long run it seemed like nobody really gave a fuck about it. But And then I raced the episode out to basically like beat Jason Lee, which I don't feel like that's off limits at all, because listen, me and Vlad are bosom buddies, and me and Vlad, like, he'll interview somebody and I'll interview somebody, and I'll notice that I know he got a lot of interviews in the stash, but then he'll like start dropping the clips like ASAP from the one that he knows that I did. We're all in friendly competition, and I seen Jason Lee at what's his name, French Montana's party, and we were cool and everything like that. But it was like, I know he felt a little way about it, but thank God I didn't get this sort of vengeance that he didn't say that I was part of the community or anything. Damn, wow, the claws came out. Jeez.
Wait,
with that alliteration, that big body box,
So if you have watched both, and who do you think did like the better Ray J interview? Or if you haven't watched it, who do you anticipate would do the better Ray J interview? Now,
I haven't seen the Ray J interview.
So from
I know
what I've
mine
seen,
with Wack was an absolute fucking mess. Shit show.
I've watched a bit of both. And Jason Lee, basically, like he said in that comment, he's gonna ask the questions that people actually care about. He's gonna delve way more in. Shannon Sharp, I think one of his biggest strengths is he creates the ambiance and lays the foundation to make people comfortable to talk their shit. And that's what he did with Cat Williams. He essentially said 7 words that whole interview. He barely had to push back at all. And that's why that was so legendary. So he's great at creating the environment. But as far as actually being inquisitive and wanting to challenge, like, you don't really see Shannon challenging his guests whatsoever. They're there to get their narrative off, and he's providing the platform to do that. Jason's going to fucking...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because Jason is a gossip guy. He's a gossip podcaster. So he's going to like really poke the bear. Whereas Shannon Sharp, it feels like he's trying to have more of like a human sit down, let's exchange energy, whatever. It's not like he comes totally unprepared or anything like that. But of course, I mean, hey, my thing with Jason Lee is like, listen, you just have to accept that this is going to happen. And if anything, that's kind of... If you look at Vlad's model, film an interview and then drop clips over the course of the next couple weeks, he does that. Even if I interviewed the fucking person, he still drops clip by clip. He's not going to drop the whole thing in advance, whatever. And when you look at this kind of situation, like people who do content live are making less money off that content, but they are dropping that content in such a way that the people get to fucking see it immediately. And then on the other hand, when you just do it live, they get it. And on the other hand, you slowly drizzle it out. You might make more money, of course, but it's not as good for the fans, and you're more likely to get sniped by other people. You know.
Well, right. No, and like I can see why Jason Lee was kind of be like a type of salty, right? Because right now, like Shannon Sharp and Ray J is trending number 2. Jason Lee is at like 107,000 views, right?
Yeah. He got scooped.
But Shannon Sharp's shit is so huge right now that it's kind of unfair. I feel like he's got an insane fan base right now.
And he's all about coming again from the gossip world. He wants that scoop. So he wants to drop it first. He wants to have that, you know what I mean? Like we were talking earlier about your content. And one of the reasons you're able to be so successful with some of the things you drop is because of how quickly you get it out. So your video gets prioritized by the algorithm, and it's just like, boom, Flakko right there.
Yeah, of course.
I also feel like, though, with Jason Lee, it's the type of people that are going to watch it are very different than the people that would watch Shannon Sharp do that interview. It's a completely different demographic.
No, and like also too though, like speaking of like pushback, I kind of understood that more when Ray J was like that him and Kim K's interview like changed the world forever, and that if their interview didn't drop, like fashion will be different, OnlyFans wouldn't have happened, people would have been dressing differently and actually going to college. And Shannon Sharp just kind of like just let him like, yeah, sure, of course.
That's some crazy self-importance.
Like, what you mean? Like, the fuck, right? Like a bitch fucking like ain't cheating, like right? Like I think that if the Kim K and Ray J shit ain't dropped, there would have been probably like 20 other like celebrities who shit dropped, right?
I mean, there's already Tommy and Pam before that. So, you know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, Ray J is doing his thing. He's going to say some extreme shit. He's going to say some hyperbolic shit. That's just the name of the game when you're Ray J. And it's like, but that is kind of the thing is when I was watching Shannon Sharp interview Cat Williams, there was multiple different times where I felt myself kind of recoiling because I was like, if I was interviewing him and he said that, I would have said this.
You're gonna push back.
I would have been able to dig a little bit deeper, which granted, it's a lot easier to say that when you're sitting in the car listening to a podcast versus when you're actually sitting across from the person. But I feel like Jason Lee is probably like a much more competent interviewer. But when you have those moments, like that's part of being a podcaster now is you get that viral moment. How are you going to get it out there to the people? Who's going to be able to get the reels, the TikToks, the Twitter clips, etc. Not to mention like being able to seed it to all these different people to post it and stuff. Like doing a great interview is only part of the equation. On top of that, you also have to basically like market your own content immediately.
Yeah. And I'm assuming these are being booked by a publicist. So when somebody of notoriety is on a media tour, on a media run, they're going to get booked by several different outlets. So you got to be quick in getting that. You got to pull that motherfucking trigger.
But speaking of podcasts, yo, me and Charleston White hopped on the phone and we squashed it. You feel me?
What was that like?
Bro, I feel like Charleston White off camera is a totally different person, bro. Feel me? Right? Like, bro, he was just saying, bro, I don't got no issues, right? Like, you know, it's all just content, right? Feel me? So yeah, man. Hey, let's shout out to Denzel Project, man.
Was my name brought up in the call with Charleston White? No? I feel like you piecing it up with him is probably a lot more realistic than me piecing it up with him. Also, it's been almost entirely one-sided from him because he
fucks with you though.
He talks about me all the fucking time, and I talk about him with praise for the most part. Like I think he's an incredible broadcaster. He's obviously hilarious. Insanely good at what he does. He has, which is kind of weird. Normally my beefs are very much like me going at them and them going at me, but with him it's been quite one-sided.
Yeah. Listen, like and let's do a call, you know, like me, you, and Charleston White, man. You feel me? Right?
No, that'd be great. I'm down.
Man, no, but what's even like kind of like cooler with like Charleston White, and I do have to give an L to, you know, the city of LA right now, right?
Oh, I love it.
So they told us, see, listen, man, like as civilians, right? Like we kind of get like brainwashed and tricked by these like street niggas into thinking like they yield more power than they do. Meaning this, bro, like if your mama is getting like Section 8 and in like a neighborhood, bro, then chances are, bro, like you probably can't really ban nobody from coming, right? So they told us for years, bro, Charleston White is banned from LA. He can't come. If he comes, he's gonna die. Is up. Bro, he came, he went to Jason Lee shit, talked there, you feel me?
Well, to be fair.
What?
LA is a huge...
He was downtown too, on camera, just chilling.
Yeah, but it's just unlikely that the gangs of LA are going to be like on high alert and track you down. Now, granted, maybe for like 6ix9ine they were. But for somebody like Charleston White, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. People don't see him as a real threat. And let's be real, like, gangs kill other gang members. It's very rare that they'll like take aim at somebody who's completely outside of their circle based on something that they said on the internet.
Well, and it's not like he's like going to St. Andrews Park or, you know what I'm saying? Or he's not going to the Jordan Downs.
If he went and stood around on Crenshaw for a while, I feel like we might have had a different result. Yeah.
Nah, listen, it doesn't matter, right? Because again, all we've heard is the gang YouTubers, right? Meaning this, right? It's the niggas who are on YouTube trying to convince us that they run LA, right? Dumb niggas said, bro, you can't come to LA, you banned, right? Again, I see like 20 different like YouTube members, right? Like at least like 20 different like YouTube channels with like gang members on it, right? Who was saying, yo, bro, like Charleston White can't come to LA, he's banned, right? So why even like say that if you know you don't got the power to stop him from coming?
But there's different levels of coming to LA.
Shit, hell nah.
You could actually be within the city limits of a municipality that has, you know, overall 20 million people living in the greater Los Angeles County area plus, you know what I mean?
It don't matter.
And wiggle through certain and avoid entire areas where there's going to be any type of chance for confrontation.
Lush.
You're not going to the clubs.
Lush, listen, Lush. If I say a nigga can't come to Fargo, North Dakota, they banned. They can't come in. You can't sneak in and drive to like the hoo-ha, right?
Right, but
play golf. You banned. You can't come.
But be fair, it'd be easier to notice somebody in Fargo than it would LA. That's the whole point.
But regardless, if I say you banned, okay, yeah. And 13 touch them, you are banned, right? Like, right? Like you can't, right? You are banned from Fargo, North Dakota. Feel me, bro? If you come, it's
how are you going to enforce that?
Don't you know?
How are you going to enforce that?
I got goons and killers, man. You feel me?
My God.
And
Kill
Fargo,
Squad is out.
More skulls than squabbles?
Yeah.
Merch dropping.
When I heard that, no, listen, no. And he actually said I got more murders
I know.
then squabbles, and then he says skulls, and then like I asked him, "Hey, bro, can I put like murder in the title?" And he said, "Nah, just put skull."
The funny thing is, people act like that was an incriminating statement.
Nah, man.
And I could see why people would think that, but he's not implicating himself in any specific incidents or.
If you believe though that he actually has murders, because again, there's no statute of limitations with murders, right? Like, again, rather it's 1945 you did it, bro, you can still get arrested. So
This is true.
Right? So, like, for example, if you were to say, yo, I done shot more niggas than you done squabble niggas, well, then, there's statutes for, like, shooting,
Okay,
right?
but if the cops really care about what's being said on YouTube, keep in mind that Trap Lord Ross has been out here pushing a narrative that Brick did this, that, and the other thing on shit that we know he didn't have anything involvement in. I mean,
allegedly, right?
Just saying that shit is not really enough for them to, like, fully go in on you. But hey, Brick is cocky about not being in danger. So I do think it's like people expect me to treat the dudes on the channel like fucking kids, because it's like if you watch that clip back, there's nothing that I said that made it obvious that Brick Baby had to crash out like that. Like he chose to do that. And,
1,000%.
He's his own man. It's like I didn't fucking tell him to say that shit to Lush.
In one of the most clear-minded states that we've seen Brick on the pod in a while.
The best version of himself that he came in a while. Yeah.
Yo, speaking of that too, right? Yo, I read like a few comments of people saying that I am a coon because my stutter like has gone away when I'm around two white folks, but when I'm around like the black folks on the news, that's not the case, bro. I feel like when I'm around podcasters who let me speak,
you get your shit off.
Yeah, because when you always feel like you're racing to get your last fucking syllable out, that does make it a little difficult. Yeah. No, but I do feel like you are somebody you stutter more when you're uncomfortable at all. Like
that's it.
Like if me and you have a conversation about some like real serious shit that you're like kind of uncomfortable with, I feel like you'll start stuttering. Whereas if we have a conversation about some regular ass shit, you're not gonna stutter.
Oh yeah,
it's
like
when you call me. It's when you feel attacked.
About the shows being canceled, and I was like, a little bit
of a stutter going on there. Yeah.
But this pod, damn near stutter free.
Yeah, man, you feel me? Right
there it is. Hey. Everybody out there watching this, we really want to go long. I would love to do a 3-hour episode today, but I got to do 2 more podcasts today. So I just want to send a huge shout out to Lush, Uno, and Flakko for coming together. Sir. Let us know what you think about the idea of doing a second podcast out of the week, and kind of like choosing to focus a little bit more on maybe doing podcast reactions like we tried to do on this episode. Let us know what you think about it. Wow, I'm surprised I didn't see comments saying that we were copying Homeroom University.
And like
we need a bell. You have that?
No, listen though, right? No, facts.
Just hit it whenever.
Hey, this ain't homeroom. This detention. You feel me? This detention.
And like
this after
is the hometown buffet,
right? Like and like it was supposed to be like a concept. I think with me, Danny, and AJ.
Oh yeah, I forgot how this had been developing. Yeah.
But then when every show got canceled, like we just said, like we probably should not even like.
Keep it in-house.
Yeah, feel me? Right, but yeah, man, hey, man,
let us know.
And we still got to do a music stream at some point, right?
Definitely, we got to double back on that on Tuesday. Yeah, we got into the 4-hour podcast, and I was just so fucking dead. I couldn't do it last Tuesday, but hey, shout out to everybody. Please drop a like if you want us to keep doing episodes more frequently in terms of doing the second episode. And I look forward to reading the comments later. Shout out to these dudes.
Appreciate y'all.
Let's go, gang shit.
Peace out, bro.
Whew. That was good.
Yeah, that was fire.
What we do, 1 hour 40?
Yeah, that was jealous.